Hello again. Oh man, they just lost half of their Microsoft.
Yep. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Project Console, episode 23. I'm feeling lucky. Before we get into our topics, I'd like my panelists to introduce himself.
Yeah, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner prior to BS Busters, and I mean, I'm just glad to be on another one of these casts. You know, it's always good to be a guest versus the host.
Well, glad to have you. So for our first topic, portable GameCube. Somebody actually went out and I think I remember seeing this. It was a few years ago. I saw people use it as clip art for their video, like a still image for this portable GameCube, and I guess it was something that was going around for a while, but people thought it was real, but it turned out it wasn't. Uh, um, it wasn't real. So, but it looks like the GameCube portable from those old pictures. Uh, what do you think? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I remember seeing a headline about it, and I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, "Oh, that's neat." I mean, personally, I love the GameCube. It's one of my favorite. It's. I would have to say, in terms of like memorable gameplay experiences, I would say that the GameCube had some of my favorite sixth gen memorable gaming experiences. Now, that doesn't mean the PS2 was any slouch, but the GameCube, along with the Dreamcast, are two of my favorites of the sixth gen.
Well, the big downside is the battery only lasts for about an hour and a half, but it's cool that someone actually came out and made it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the guy who made this did this with a lot of off-the-shelf parts. You know, it doesn't have like a.
It doesn't have some kind of battery that lasts as long. Or
well, I was gonna say it doesn't have customized parts. It doesn't have customized parts.
Okay.
I think maybe he did like a 3D printer build, like for the shell of it, but the rest of it is just like like the shell is custom, but everything else is just stuff that he bashed together. So, but I mean, people forget just how awesome the GameCube was.
It was a nice little console. It was the most portable console out of the three consoles. It was
in that generation,
almost as powerful in some ways. In some aspects, even more powerful than the Xbox, and it was a tiny little box that you could carry around with the handle.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the back to the thing about the battery life. I'm guessing that a lot of that is because the GameCube portable is probably just that. And I mean, anytime you have something that has a movable drive, because the laser has to read the disc, that's going to use a lot of power.
That's
so.
That's the downer. And, it's kind of funny. It's like Sony was like, "Oh, we're going to use UMDs. This is a superior medium to cartridges."
A disc and a cartridge.
It's like, oh yeah, that sounds
it's a disc
great.
and a cartridge. Yeah, it's still having to read the shit.
Yeah, having a giant or having a portable that you have to move around in your hands. I guess I know what they were thinking. It's like, well, we already have Discman, so I mean, what's the big deal? But
Sony did UMDs because they wanted to push that format and make it into a thing so that they could make money on the format and other IPs. Just like they pushed the cell architecture they did for the PS3 because they thought they were going to be able to make that into a thing and sell it to other people, and it didn't turn out the way they thought it was, and they lost a lot of money.
The format wars round one.
Well, it wasn't even a format war. It's just Sony. The way Sony made money off a lot of their products, the PS1, the PS2, the PS1 and the PS2, is because they would basically sell the format into other things. Like the reason you were able to use Sony cameras, Sony made a lot of money off their cameras, is that they'd lose money on the camera. They would sell the format, like the special memory cards you had to use for their digital cameras that were like 60% more expensive than other people's memory cards.
Yeah, and that's why I was remembering. I mean, and that's why I said the format wars, because if anything, I remember this was done once already with DVD versus Blu-ray.
So they were hoping that people would essentially want to create a UMD player and then they could sell movies.
Yeah. Except UMD was inherently inferior because you couldn't fit the whole movie on the UMD on some of them. There were like 2 UMDs, or even if you did fit the whole movie on the UMD, it was prohibitively expensive to make a UMD that held that much data. And then the player that you had didn't have enough because it was reading the disc, and that was using up juice, plus decoding the encoded data on the disc. That was using up juice. And it just because I remember Spider-Man 2 came out on UMD, or was it 3? One of the two. And it was a little over 2-hour movie, and you could get maybe an hour and a half of life watching it on a PSP or
I was about to say, you could barely get through half the movie before that thing was in the red.
So, once again, it was Sony trying to push a format because Sony loves doing that. Sony made a lot of money pushing formats.
And what about were UMDs cheaper to develop for or produce than DS cartridges, or was it about the same? Or
man, it was Sony's little backroom deals.
Yeah,
that's all it was. It was Sony's backroom deals. All right. Because I'm pretty sure cartridges are more expensive because you're literally putting ROM chips on a cartridge, and that's more expensive than printing a disc. But still, it's not I think if it costs $1 to make a DS ROM, a DS cartridge, it probably cost 70 cents to make a UMD diskette thing.
Yeah.
It's not the price, in the grand scheme of things, but look, the big games that sold well on the PSP weren't it wasn't the big games that sold well on the PSP, the companies that were successful on the PSP were companies that were selling if the game sold over 100,000, it broke even. They were single A, double A publishers. Developers. But yeah, the GameCube, great console.
Yeah,
great console. This is my subtle hint to Nintendo. Hey, Nintendo, you did the NES and SNES Mini. And we know you're probably not going to do an N64 Mini because you make more money charging people $50 a year to play a curated few on your library. But here's a hint for you: $200 GameCube Mini.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You're pushing for that.
20 games on the console, on the mini console. 20 games, and you open up the memory card so people can put their games that they own on there. Because people, everyone's hacked all those mini consoles, so why make it hard for people to hack their? If they spent $200, they should be able to hack it and add extra games to it. Because maybe people don't like the 20 games that are on there. Because it's going to have Mario Sunshine and F-Zero GX and Donkey Kong or something like that.
Red, I question that Donkey Konga is ever going to be on that kind
of. I was being facetious with Donkey Konga. I wasn't serious. That's why I laughed at the end, because it was a joke. Maybe that Star Fox game was on the not Dinosaur Planet, the other one. Not the game that should have been Dinosaur Planet. The other Star Fox game on the GameCube. The one made by Namco Bandai. Yeah, there could be some good games on the GameCube. I mean, we got two Beautiful Joes on the GameCube that were great. So, yeah, I could see that. Your unreleased game that could be on the GameCube Mini would be Okami, because that was supposed to be on the GameCube, but Capcom got cold feet and ported it over to the PlayStation where it bombed.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe some unreleased GameCube games from Japan translated.
Yeah,
Like
but that takes effort.
Like they did with the TurboGrafx 16, I want to say that micro TurboGrafx 16. Is that it?
Yeah, there was like 4 games on the Japanese side of that never came to America that were on that mini console.
Yeah. Yep. So, but also on the side there was did they add that? Oh, never mind. We'll get to that. I don't remember if I. But is there anything else you'd like to say about the portable GameCube? If Nintendo were to make something like this, what would be the games you would want to come on it, or what would be the game? If they made something like this and
like a GameCube Mini.
GameCube Mini, what games would you want to be put on?
Okay. I thought about this because I've, on my own cast. Like I said earlier, 20 games. I would go with Mario Sunshine, F-Zero GX, the Star Fox game that was on the GameCube, the one that was made by Namco Bandai, not Star Fox Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
I would go with... no, the only reason I'm not going with Star Fox Adventure because there's better action adventure games on the system. I mean, Mario Sunshine's a better action adventure game platformer than Star Fox Adventure. Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, so that's 5. Then I would go with Wave Race Blue Storm, that's 6. I would go with Chibi Robo because that game doesn't get enough love. Pikmin, that's 8. I would go with Kirby Air Ride because that game is amazing. That's 9. I would go with obviously Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I know.
If you're doing a GameCube Mini, you gotta have Smash Brothers Melee. That's just, Mario Kart Double Dash, that's 11. No, I already said Mario Kart, so still at 10. The other 10 would all be third-party games. So I would go with Bait and Kato's, Skies of Arcadia, Phantasy Star Online, hence why I would have an online, I would have a wired online connection and thing, which is why I wouldn't mind it being $200, because then you could have that type of amenity so you could play the online portion of those games. Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2. And heck, why not add Phantasy Star 3 on there too? So you've got, that's 4 games right there. So that's 14. I would do, I would do Radiant Silvergun, the GameCube version. That's 15. Wario Land, I know that's really second party because Treasure made it, but it's a Nintendo IP, but Treasure made it, so second party. But I'm putting it with third party. That's 15. I would do Codename Geist. No, that's a Nintendo first party game. Geez, the last 5 are gonna be tough. I don't know.
Why you didn't go Billy Hatcher?
I mean, I've got 4 Sega games on there that are better. I like Billy Hatcher, but if you put Billy Hatcher, you say, which would you prefer, Billy Hatcher or Skies of Arcadia Legends? I take Skies of Arcadia Legends every time.
Yeah, but I was saying that you at least got 5 slots left.
Yeah, I gotta fill up those last 5. I would do. I mean, I know these aren't. I would do Metroid Prime 1 and 2, so that's 16, 17. I would do. See, we need strong. Beautiful Joe 1 and 2. That's
18,
19. And the 20th game, I'll give you two choices. Perfect choice would be the GameCube version of Okami. But that's probably not going to happen, so we got to go with another great GameCube game, Resident Evil 4. There you go. There's your 20.
Yeah,
There's your 20.
I mean that would be I think that would be a lot of people's list. You know, Paper Mario, Mario Sunshine, obviously Sky, like you said, Skies of Arcadia, Wind Waker, Resident Evil 4. Let's see what else. Obviously, the Metroid Prime trilogy. Not the trilogy, but the first two. The third one didn't come out on the GameCube. Came out on the Wii. So, you have the first two games, and then you would have Star Fox Adventure, which wasn't a great game, but it wasn't a terrible game. Had it had more time, probably would have been better.
You know, Star Fox Adventure isn't a terrible game. My problem with Star Fox Adventure is just I wish that Star Fox wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Like, if that game had been not had Star Fox in it, and Rare had been allowed to just make it be like this open world adventure game this action adventure game where you have a new protagonist and there's like dinosaurs and stuff. It's a Zelda clone with some sci-fi and mystic stuff going on, and I like that. But then they had to add Star Fox, and I'm like, you don't belong here. Something here doesn't belong.
I have a feeling that Crystal is probably supposed to be the main character, but due to marketing issues, like, well, yeah, this game's not going to sell unless you have Star Fox in it. It's like, oh well, looks like we gotta.
See, I don't believe that. I think had it had proper marketing, if it had had proper marketing, because the thing is, people went into that game thinking that, like, with Star Fox in it, okay, this is going to be a Star Fox game. And there's very few parts of the game where you're actually in an R-Wing flying around doing traditional Star Fox stuff. So those people were alienated. And then the people who were Rare fans like me were like, a lot of the Rare magic is missing in this game because they had to crowbar in Star Fox stuff. So it kind of tried to appease too many crowds and didn't really make anyone happy. Yeah. Because I saw the prototype for the original Dinosaur Planet for N64, and while it does have N64 style graphics, I'm like, wow, if this game had been ported over to the GameCube and they had like polished up the graphical engine, this could have been amazing. Because I like Star Fox, but I don't think Nintendo has this weird thing where if they don't think a game's going to do well, they throw one of their mascot characters into it, whether it's warranted or not.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works wonderfully, and sometimes I'm just like, couldn't this just be its own thing? Like, why does this have to be associated with this character?
Yeah. Yeah. Another game, probably Eternal Darkness as well.
Yeah. Could have added that. That's a good game.
I know a lot of people like that game.
Well, it's creepy.
Also, Soul Calibur 2.
Dang, I forgot that game. That is like the best version of Soul Calibur, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sadly, the only one that we're never going to get because of who's owning it.
Well, not really. It's because Nintendo won't pay them money to port it over, and won't allow the other consoles' characters to be in it. They're like, we're not paying for that. We're not going to pay to market someone else's stuff, which I can understand it, but that's the reason you're not getting it. Because you can play Soul Calibur 2, the remasters on the PS3 and the Xbox 360, no problem. Because Microsoft and Sony pwned it up. You can get it on PC, where it's got like all the characters except Link. So that's a Nintendo problem. That's not a Namco Bandai problem.
There are like two characters, in my opinion, two guest characters, in my opinion, that have made the most sense just because of they fit the aesthetic of the world the best. That'd be Geralt from The Witcher and Link, obviously from The Legend of Zelda.
I would agree with you, except I'll add a third one. I'd say Spawn actually fit in pretty well too.
I don't really know much about the lore of Spawn.
Well, I mean, he's this guy who was a CIA person who did really terrible things. He was a CIA Black Ops wet works person. Basically, he's sent in when the government messes up and they need to get rid of all the evidence that they messed up and were involved in it. They send him in and his team and they kill everybody and burn everything down. Well, he was double crossed and killed on his last mission. You know, typical action movie tropes. And he was burnt up and he went to hell because he was a very bad person. Well, he made a deal with the devil to come back, but he thought he'd come back like immediately, but it was a 7-year time jump. So he comes back and the world has changed. His wife has moved on. And he's a hellspawn, which means he basically, like, the devil is banking on his lower nature to continue to bring in the end of days, the apocalypse. So, like, Spawn, the story, the backstory behind Spawn's pretty cool. Todd McFarlane's storytelling sucks, but basically
That's what I've
he's
heard.
he's essentially fighting against his lower nature. I mean, he's fighting against his darker nature to be a better man than he was when he was alive. And eventually, it winds up with him basically fighting his way down into hell and up to heaven, and taking out both God and the devil, and remaking reality to be more fair because he realizes that both heaven and hell are full of shit. So I mean, the story, it's actually pretty interesting, but he uses chains. He has a symbiotic cape that basically, like, mantle that can do all types of cool stuff. Plus he's got chains and an axe, and I mean, it kind of makes, like, he could fit in there too. If they've got friggin' Masquerade and Nightmare, then, you know, another Hellborn character would make sense.
There was I wonder if Bayonetta was. I wonder if that had any. I wonder if Spawn had any inspiration for Bayonetta, because that's kind of how Bayonetta is. Ultimately, she ends up fighting angels and I mean, in the second game, she ends up, you know, upsetting hell, and as well, she's already upset at heaven. So
I'd be surprised. I mean, Spawn steals a lot of stuff from Berserk.
Oh, interesting.
And Berserk came out a little bit before. Like, Spawn came out in the 90s because McFarlane left Marvel because they wouldn't let him do what he wanted to do. So that he created Image.
Yeah.
No, not Image. Vigil Comics. And they did Spawn was the marquee title for that.
I thought Spawn
publishing house.
I thought Spawn was published by Dark Horse.
No. Spawn began. McFarlane and his crew of hotshots at Marvel got tired of Marvel not giving them creative freedom, so they left and became an indie comic house, which I forget the here. Let me look it up because I don't want to say something and get it wrong. Let's see. Spawn comic book series. Image, yeah, that's the name. Image Comics, which was founded by Todd McFarlane and, like, a whole bunch of other dudes. Yeah, that was Spawn was the marquee for Image Comics. Like, they had other stuff too, but that was like the, you know, that was the marquee. You know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. There was a time where during the when Marvel started doing all those event comics, which just ruined Marvel, because it was like you had to read all this other stuff that didn't even, like, none of the events had any real effect on what you were reading. Like, I got into indies again, so I started reading like Savage Dragon and Spawn and stuff like that, which I shouldn't have been reading Spawn, because 94, 95 I was reading Spawn, and Spawn is dark. Like, it's really dark. Like, it's got some really fucked up shit in it. Kids shouldn't be reading that, but I read it anyway because I didn't care.
No, unnecessarily dark, or sometimes things are dark, and you can see why. And then you get stuff that's just unnecessarily edgy. It's like
Okay.
you're trying too hard.
I'm going to give you one of the storylines in Spawn that happens in the comics and in the TV show, and you're going to see why it's too dark. One of the main villains in the first, like, I want to say season of the comics, like first 13, 12, 13 issues, is Spawn winds up having to deal with this guy named Billy. I forget his name, but he's a pedophile. He's an ice cream man who goes around picking up kids, violates them, and then cannibalizes their bodies. Like he mutilates their bodies. And this guy made his final mistake because he kidnaps Spawn's wife's daughter. And he shouldn't have done that because Spawn got him.
No.
Spawn came after him and Spawn messed him up. He was going to kill him, but Spawn's like, if I kill you, I'm going to appeal to my darker nature and I'll fall further into the grip of hell. And I'm trying to not do that. So then he walks away, and the demon who is Spawn's handler on Earth, the Violator, comes and kills Billy, pedophile guy, and sends him to hell, where he winds up becoming he becomes like the pedophile becomes a hell Spawn who is now he comes back to Earth. And he's gonna get revenge on Spawn, and Spawn can't kill him because every time he hits him, the dude's like the core of his body keeps on going away. He's like a slime from fantasy. The guy's like, I can't. I'm doing everything I can. Anyway, yeah, it's dark. Yeah. Spawn is a very dark series. I mean, if you like Berserk, then you're gonna like Spawn. If you just like grimdark, like there's no hope in this world type of stuff.
Yeah. Well, before we get off on any more tangents, let's go on to the second topic.
Yep.
Looks like E3 is doing an all digital event.
Why am I not surprised?
This year. I thought they were talking about it going away, but I guess it's still kicking. Reality hasn't quite put a fork in it. Called it quits. They're still, I guess Microsoft and Nintendo are going to possibly show up. Sony probably is just going to do their own thing or not show up, as they haven't showed up for the past couple of E3s. Which just tells me that they don't really have anything.
I'm rooting that E3 can at least can continue on in some form where it reaches a happy medium where it can give information but not be as commercialized as it's been in the past. Because that's where E3 messed up, when it became so commercialized that it became a cheerleader for the huge publishers. Because E3 had a purpose as a trade show where like indie developers could go and show off their demos, their vertical slice of a game they want to get made, but they don't quite have the funding to really push it all the way. And a publisher would step in and say, "Hey, we'll give you, $2 or $3 million to finish this game." And we'll help you, as long as you give us like a cut of when it, is fully released. Those that's who E3 really should have been for. And instead it got taken over by the big three, by huge AAA publishers. And that's when E3 kind of went out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of hurt it, I mean, look, I like Nintendo Directs. I think Microsoft has been doing a lot better with the Xbox Series X than with the Xbox One. I think Sony's always has been boring as all get out, and I'm tired of it. But Nintendo doesn't need help to hype up their games because Nintendo fans are going to like it no matter what, more or less. Not all the time, but more or less. Like the fans who like the stuff Nintendo puts out, Nintendo could put out a Direct, get that information out there. People will cover it. But if you're a small indie studio and you don't have Nintendo-like resources or Sony-like resources or Microsoft-type resources or Activision, EA, those types of resources, then yeah, E3 was a big deal for you. And, there needs to be a place where, smaller tier developers and publishers can go to get that, to schmooze and meet each other and exchange ideas and drum support for their products.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not one of those people like E3 needs to go away. No, there needs to be a place like that where stuff like that can happen. But E3 as it was not that place. And neither is the Game Awards. I'm tired of people. The Game Awards is the new E3. No, it isn't. The Game Awards is one big commercial for whoever sponsored it.
I hate the Game Awards. I absolutely. I tried
Oh
watching
boy!
I tried watching it. I was gonna stream it a little bit of it Thursday. Back in December, and I was just kind of like, I can't do it. I can't freaking do it. This is too much. Ugh. Yeah, I hope the Game Awards doesn't position itself to be the new E3, because that's just gonna be. I don't know. That award show needs to be shorter for one thing. 3 hours long, unnecessary. It should be an hour and a half or something.
If it was 3 hours long and they were showing off games, but half of those categories are for some BS. Best streamer. Do we need this, really?
Yeah.
Best new esports team. Man, suck my... No, we're trying to keep this PG.
Hey.
So I'm not going to say what I wanted to say, but...
Hey, if anything, you could at least censor yourself with something funny.
No, I'm not, because, what I want to say would be appropriate, but it's not appropriate for here, so I won't say it. But yeah, E3, like the Game Awards, like Jeff Keighley, I will admit, the first Game Awards was great because Jeff Keighley had to get people hyped. The Game Awards has consistently gone downhill faster than E3 did. Way faster than E3 did.
Yeah.
I was about to say, as fast as he was going down on Kojima.
No, there was no going down. They full out. They went all the way. That was a home run between his good friend Kojima and Jeff Keighley.
I would say it went down faster than the action that went down between those two.
But there is one good thing about the Game Awards. That Game Award where Don Matrick and Jeff Keighley were having that talk, and we got to see a man's career implode in 10 minutes on live TV in real time. Oh, man. That's... Seeing someone's career just implode in 10 minutes, real time, it's like, you can't write this. This is better than reality TV.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
But yeah,
we got something
E3 going all digital is great.
We got something for you if you can't deal with the Xbox One. We got an Xbox 360. So,
yeah,
and he tried to clean it up, but it's too late. It's too late.
No. He knew, like he said, well, we can't. We have to have it always online, and it's like. But you don't, though. And then so Jeff Keighley's like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're telling people that their only choice is that there's nothing you do. They have to stick with their 360s. And he tried to clean it up. He's like, well, we have people who it's like, nah, man, you done already stepped in that dog doo-doo. You were wearing sandals with no socks and really bad sandals, and you stepped in that warm, freshly laid doggy doo-doo pat, and it squished in between your toes. You already stepped in. It's too late now. You can't.
Too late.
It's too late. You got your foot is now covered in doggy doo-doo.
I mean, you can try to rinse it off, but it doesn't excuse the fact that you just stepped in dog crap.
Yeah, you did it. You stepped into doggy doo-doo. And the hilarious thing is just like Don Matrick, like he tried to clean it up. And I remember I watched it. I was in Gamers at Large at the time. I think it was still in Gamers at Large. And I remember watching that and I was like, yeah, that man just destroyed his career. He's not going to have a job next month. And within 3 weeks, he was gone. 3 weeks. He didn't even make it a month. 3 weeks. I was like, yeah, because you can't do something like that. Your console, like Microsoft had to have known that they were already like the Xbox One was already struggling. Like it already was struggling, and and they doubled down on the stuff instead of fixing it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the only good thing about the Game Awards is that you'll see stuff like that. The Game Awards now is just one big 3 hour plus long commercial for stuff you don't care about, and a few announcements that you would have found out anyway without the Game Awards. So it's like, and Dorito Pope Jeff Keighley, ugh, that d bag.
If it helps, at least it's easy to see where the trash comes from.
I guess so. I'll take your word for it.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't really. It doesn't really bother me that the E3's gone digital. This is kind of the hope, at least for me, that it would go digital. One of the things that I hope it does is, eventually get to the point where, people can. Steam has kind of started to do this, or people can demo announced games, but get to the point where more and more people can uh,
Demo games.
demo games. But I don't think they do that because a lot of journalists want that exclusive. They want that exclusive.
Yeah, but I still think that would be a cool thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that'd be a cool thing if like Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony were like, hey, we're announcing this game coming out this fall, and you can check out the demo right now. Turn on your consoles. Like that'd be great. Will they do it? Probably not. I mean, Nintendo's kind of done that a little bit.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah, it depends on different games. Like they're double A and single A games that they really, they kind of want to sell people on. They do. For their big games, they don't. They're like, yeah, people are going to buy this no matter what. We could literally poo-poo in a box and put the name of the title on it, and people will buy it because they like that franchise.
yeah.
But I'm glad E3 is going digital because that saves a lot of money. That saves a lot of time. People don't have to be bound up. I know people are like, COVID rates are going down. Yeah, but there's a lot of people who are not vaccinated. Okay.
Actually, I would say more, but oh boy, that would be a little political, and I don't think we need that here.
And I'll tell you right now, okay, from a monetary standpoint, it is so much cheaper to make a digital presentation. I mean, that's why I like the computer gaming conference they have, where they talk about computer games that are coming out from different studios. That's way more interesting than anything E3's been doing for a while, and most of that's digital.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. So, but Kenoshi, you have anything else you want to say about E3 going all digital, or you want to move on to the next topic?
Oh, no, I don't have anything. Let's we can move on to the next topic.
All right.
Is there anything you guys are hoping to see at E3 aside from the usual stuff?
I mean, I just hope they focus on the games. Like, I don't want it to turn into one big commercial for, you know, uh, the people who supported it. Even though, I mean, there has to be some level of commercialism, but not, you know, not too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's all. That's all I had to say.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. GPU prices are they're falling. See, they're finally falling. This
Yeah.
could be due to either um, either this could be either due to the leak of the 40 series GPUs, because I've been seeing some headlines of those. I think some of them are a little ridiculous, just for the fact that they're probably not finalized specs of the graphics card. Like one headline said that the RTX 4060 is going to be more powerful or as powerful as 3090.
I
I'm gonna
call
push.
BS on that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna push F the dad on that one. Um,
Yeah, that's some BS right there.
and
Uh,
and Nvidia's getting. I just saw another headline about the 40 series cards. The 4090 is supposed to use 600 watts of power. The 4090 Ti is presumed to use 800 watts of power. It's like, yeah, this is out of control. Like, Nvidia needs to get their power man. Then they were getting power down significantly with the 10 series cards, but ever since they introduced RTX, like, now you're gonna have to really up your power supply. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, that is crazy, because that's a significant jump uh, from this generation.
I would wager that they probably aren't normally going to be clocking, not going to be drawing that much juice. I think that's only going to be when you're gaming at high settings.
Yeah,
Like if you're just like, if your computer's just,
if your computer basically is average one, like it doesn't use that much stuff or isn't that complex.
I was going to say, if you're just watching YouTube or streaming video, no. If you're rendering video, yes. If you're running a game at ultra settings, yes.
yeah,
Or custom settings that go beyond ultra settings, then probably. I don't think that's going to be the normal thing. Although we've had graphics cards that have run hot even when you weren't doing something that was demanding. So, Intel was notorious for their CPUs drawing more power than they needed to for what was going on. So, I mean, it's just Nvidia, so I don't really trust Nvidia.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I was thinking about switching to AMD, because I know their cards require a little less juice. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's not that I'm environmentally conscious. It's just
so
I don't want to spend that much money to power my rig.
yeah, I just don't want to buy a whole new power supply. But yeah, the NVIDIA 3090 draws about 480 watts, which is uh, the power supply needed, the recommended power supply needed for a 3090 is, what does it recommend? 720 watts. 720, or yeah, 800 watt power supply, roughly speaking, not accounting for CPU, RAM, and other peripherals. So, so yeah,
So basically, you're gonna have to get a gold level power supply for your like a current gen power supply for your PC if you're building a PC, or if you're looking to upgrade, you're also going to have to get a new power supply unit.
480, 480 divided by divided by 600 is, wow. So an 80% increase in power draw. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy if that's true.
Well,
That's
they
true.
probably
That's pretty
rushed these.
crazy.
They rushed these out because they saw that the demand was really high because we had those 2 years of people, these crypto miners just driving up the prices, and they were like, we got to get something out, we got to get a piece of the pie, and they probably rushed this out because typically speaking, when new GPUs come out, the power supply might go up, but the amount of performance you get and the power draw,
Doesn't change.
no, it goes up. The amount of performance you get, the amount of power it draws goes up by like 10, 15, 20%, but you're getting more performance. And for like, if you get the next gen GPU from the GPU you had before, like let's say you had a 4700, AMD 4700 GPU, and then you get a 5700 GPU to upgrade. The 5700 might use a little bit more power than the 4700, but it's also going to be more. The performance is going to be better. You're gonna get more bang for your buck. But the sounds like what Nvidia did is that they rushed the process to just get something out there, and the power drop doesn't matter. They don't care about the power drop,
Yeah,
which is weird.
I'm kind of thinking that too because they used to make a big deal, at least their older cards, about power draw. Because I know the 1070 Ti used less power. That was only trying to think. That was only like an 8-pin connector instead of like a 12 pin connector.
Yeah.
So
And normally that doesn't make sense for any type of technological leap. Like you wouldn't expect the next model of a vehicle, the more efficient, like you're supposed to get more efficient with the next model, not less efficient.
yeah,
Like you wouldn't expect a Mustang from 2015 to be more fuel efficient than a Mustang in 2020.
yeah.
And yet you're having the opposite thing going on with NVIDIA where they're making less efficient cards. More power, but they're less efficient.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. That so it's
Like I said, I personally think these were rushed.
um I mean the 40 series cards could end up being a rush job, and AMD is starting to, they're more of a competition now than they were in the past when it came to their GPUs. So
Yeah, and plus,
even
I
on the
mean,
higher end.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, even on the higher end, because a lot of and I remember some of the the RX4 5 series cards. They used a lot of plastic for their Founders Edition cards, and they kind of went a little cheap. AMD and their cards didn't necessarily perform as well as Nvidia's cards, so they were always known as the budget. It's the cards you get on a budget, but now that their performance is pretty close, pretty comparable to Nvidia's, plus they're slightly more efficient when it comes to power draw. Nvidia's probably not going to be the king of graphics cards for long. Not to mention Intel's cards. They're coming out with their first generation. It's nice to see competition in the GPU market again.
I won't say first. I won't say first generation because Intel made graphics cards way back in the day, but it's we're in a different market now.
Yeah.
But I'm glad. Look, competition. People who say, "Oh, competition is great," because this is why you have lower prices. Because there's other people are like, "Oh, Nvidia, your stuff's too expensive. I'll go to AMD. Oh, AMD, your stuff's too expensive. I'll go to Intel when their stuff comes out." If it's priced competitively, you got a game.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully they're halfway decent. I'm not expecting
Yeah,
them to like blow AMD and Nvidia out the water, but at least something where people can be like, "Huh, I see a future in this."
people can get 1080p, 60 frames per second in most of their games.
Yeah,
Like if they can get basic HD and it's relatively stable, that's great. And the price is, if you can get a card that can do that for under $300 from Intel, they're fine. It's because that's good competition all around.
yeah,
Um, if anyone's gonna have pressure on them, it's Nvidia with their greedy behinds. Always
uh,
just, hey, we're Nvidia. This is the way it's meant to be played.
oh yeah. They also stopped. I don't know if we mentioned this, but they also stopped Nvidia's takeover. I think if
Of
TSMC. No.
ARM.
ARM. Yeah,
ARM.
ARM. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that wasn't going to go through. That was never going to go through because you cannot have a tech company having control of over another tech company that supplies that much other stuff. That's just that was never going to happen. I'm sorry. Like the people are like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm like, you are insane. This is not going to happen.
ARM isn't. Yeah, ARM isn't like one company, is it? It's like a collaboration of different entities.
I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that their consortium basically provides like unified chipsets for a lot of products.
So no, Apple.
Like a lot of products.
Because Apple uses a custom ARM chip. Microsoft, I believe, uses a custom ARM chip, as well as some of your phones and stuff.
A lot of smartphones, a lot of tablets, a lot of devices, a lot of electronic devices. Like ARM is in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that would have probably that would have killed. That could have potentially killed innovation if Nvidia swallowed the belt.
Yeah, because they not even innovation. It would have been like, okay, we're going to jack up the prices on ARM fabs.
Yeah.
And ARM design. So you want us to design a new ARM chipset for you, a new ARM chip? Oh, I know last time it was, we did it for a contract of like 10 million, and we're going to do it for 25 this time. Like, I mean, that's basically the type of stuff they could have done, which is why that was not going to happen. That just was like, I don't know why people were like, yeah, you're insane if you think that any government is going to let that go down.
Yeah.
That would be like Intel buying. That would be like Intel buying. That would be like Intel buying TSMC.
Yeah.
Like that, because TSMC makes so much stuff for so many other people. Like no government would let that go through.
Yeah.
It would never happen.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That'd be insane. And for those of you listening, TSMC is Taiwan Semiconductors. They're the people who make like the semiconductor chipsets, base chipsets for Samsung and HTC. Like everyone's stuff in some way, shape, or form is tied into TSMC.
Yeah.
Especially if it comes from China, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, like all that stuff.
So they make all the Snapdragon chips and stuff like that. And
they make more stuff than that. But in some way, shape, or form, like I'd say about 50% of the electronics, like small form electronics that people have, in some way, shape, or form is touched by TSMC.
Yeah.
Like if you have a memory card, I guarantee if you look at the copyright on your memory card, somewhere in there is TSMC.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised. Like they put their stank on a lot of stuff, and that's just the way it is.
So, surprising news in the NPD charts. For one, Nintendo outsold basically everything last month, and PlayStation 5 came in DFL last month. So
Came
it
in
got
what?
up
Dead last.
dead last. Yeah. So
Well, I mean, if you can get a PS5, I mean, it's not like you can get one in a lot of places.
it was outsold by the Xbox Series systems. And don't say that the Xbox. Well, it's because they have two SKUs. I mean, the PlayStation 5 also has two SKUs. So. And
Yeah, and the Switch has two SKUs.
yeah,
Actually, three.
three.
They've got the OG Switch, which good luck finding that. They've got the new Switch, and then they got the Switch Lite.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's three SKUs. So
I thought it was the Switch OLED and the Switch Lite.
Yeah, this was.
That's
Switch
what I was saying.
OLED.
The new Switch.
Yeah, Switch
Because
OLED.
the old Switch, which they discontinued for the new Switch model that had the better battery, and there's the Switch OLED, and then there's the Switch Lite, which is like $150 or $199, something like that. I can't remember. I don't have a Switch Lite. I would never buy one. But that's just that's me. No, I wouldn't get one just because I don't like the lack of TV functionality because I got a Switch for its console abilities, not for the handheld abilities. So for me, it's like, hey, it's a Switch, but a handheld, so I get really bad battery life and nothing else. And it's portable. Great!
Oh man. And something else happened last month. Elden Ring outsold Call of Duty Vanguard in its first day. Like comparing Call
Now
of
this
Duty
is in
Vanguard,
total, or it outsold Call of Duty Vanguard's first month sales. It sold its first month sales. Okay,
yeah,
all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not surprised. Elden Ring's a new game, and it's actually good. So,
I was going to say, I'm tempted to do a mocking laugh because I kind of expected it.
Plus, I mean, Activision, like, Call of Duty Vanguard alienated so many Call of Duty fans.
How did it do that? I haven't followed Call of Duty since Black Ops 2.
Well, I mean, it just did, like, okay, there's no single player, like they did, or maybe there is a single player, but it's not very good. The multiplayer is, like, not very well, not as polished as previous iterations. It's just not, Call of Duty has been on a steady downward incline for a while now. So, there had to be a time when they'd have to pay the piper.
Yeah. So,
I don't know why people don't understand that. Eventually, everything has to be. You got to pay the piper.
at some point.
At some point.
But
I don't know why people don't get that. They're like, well, no, come on.
yeah.
Call of Duty's been garbage for a long time now.
Oh, anything
you
else?
know this, man.
Yeah, I think Call of Duty. I think they announced that they're gonna take a year off of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
There's a couple of years or something like that. I think it's time for Call of Duty to take a little nap.
Call of Duty shouldn't have been a yearly game anyway. And I know they're like, well, we have 3 different teams, and each team. It's like, it shouldn't be a yearly game. Call of Duty should at least have a 2 or 3 year refraction rate where you have a year of that game being supported, like the developers actively seeing what's going on. Because how can you learn about a huge project if as soon as it's out, you're literally just has someone's working on the new one? Like, how can you look at the flaws of the last game and be like, okay, here's what we did well, here's what we can improve on, here's what didn't work so well. Like, you have to have that data coming from people playing the game to see what works and what doesn't work. And as soon as it's over, they're already on to the next thing. It's weird. It's asinine.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. The whole Call of Duty, like, oh, we're gonna have a game every year. It's like, yeah, it just eventually got stale. It got stale, at least for me, really quick. I mean, the franchise, yeah, so it's it's 20 years old at this point, right? The first Call of Duty came out like 2001, 2002.
I never really played Call of Duty.
Yeah,
I knew people who played it, but I was like,
yeah,
I don't play a lot of shooters. Like I pick like one shooter every 2 or 3 years, and I play the ever loving daylights out of it. Then I go do something else.
yeah.
I basically evade most shooters, save for at least one. But then again, it's part of a fun series that doesn't involve killing your opponents for points.
Yeah, I play I pick like one dude bro shooter to get into. Every few years, and I really get into it, and then when I'm done, I'm just like, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm finished.
Anything else you guys like to say before we move on to the next topic?
Other than I'm not surprised, and I'm gonna pull a Nelson. That's what I think about you. But you deserve it, Activision Blizzard, because you guys
Pull a lot
are
of
a foul
PX.
company. Yeah, you're a foul company, and whatever it's like the hater. It's like the haters club from the Chappelle Show. I hope everything bad happens to you and nobody but you, Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
It's like, man, a plane fell out of the sky. Did it hit anyone? No, just smash it at Activision Blizzard. Yeah, well, F them.
Well, Square Enix had a little surprise this week. Chrono Trigger on the PC. They updated it after 4 years. General bug fixes, resolution fixes, as well as resolution options, as well, and UI changes.
Yeah.
I guess people are thinking that they're going to port Chrono Trigger to the consoles, so they're just gonna update the PC one on the side. That's the
Yeah.
assumption.
And then port those changes over to the console version and charge people an arm and a leg for it. Yeah, I'll stick with my original version and my ROM of Chrono Trigger that I ripped from my original version. Oh, sorry, copied from my original version. Because ripping would imply that I literally erased the original on the cartridge. I did not. I copied it, but yeah, I mean, it's Square Enix. One of their most famous franchises they actually paid some attention to after 4 years.
Yeah, I think a lot.
Took them long enough.
What?
Took them long enough.
I mean, 4 years, that is a long time.
Yeah.
That is a long time for your game. Not to mention, people forget when that game came out, it was not very well. They messed up the font. They messed up the graphic style. They basically ported the cell phone version, the smartphone version of the game to Steam, and it was like, how could I would rather you just take the original SNES version and put it and wrap it put it in a wrapper and put it in a customized emulator and play it like that than what they did, but just porting that god awful smartphone version. Why would you do that? But it's Square Enix, and then I realized it's Square Enix, and I was like, oh, that's why they do that, because Square Enix, they love messing up.
Here's some of the patch notes. Last update contents, key binding function, implement key bindings functionality for gamepad, keyboard, and mouse controls has been implemented to improve the game controls. So apparently you're able to bind keys, which is a basic feature for every game. They just not put it in.
All I'm going to say is this. When the official release from the company who made the game, or at least published the game, is worse than what I can do on an emulator, your release sucks.
Yeah. Oh, wait a
Because you
minute.
can do that on the emulator. You can bind keys. You can. There's different filters, so you can make it look ultra smooth or really crisp or whatever. Stuff that should have been there day one, not there.
That was the wrong. Trying to look for the patch notes. PC port. That was.
At this point, I can't even get angry anymore because
Yeah.
it's like it's Square Enix. They're gonna find some way to mess it up. I mean, this is the same company that couldn't get a decent Marvel Avengers MMO light battle royale game out the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
So, I'm not really surprised that they messed up putting out Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I can't find the patch notes, but stuff. There is just general little fixes here and there.
Stuff that should have been there more than 4 years past the time it came out.
Yeah, exactly.
Basic stuff that should have been there day one. Yeah. Square Enix, though, top of the line company right there. Can't tell I'm being facetious.
Yeah.
I'm being facetious and sarcastic. I'm not being honest at all because
Yeah.
they're terrible.
Yeah, they are pretty terrible.
Yeah. They used to be good, but that was when they were Squaresoft.
Those are the
I
days, right?
found the patch notes. Update full features. Full screen now available. Up to 21 by 9 ratio. Full screen display. Screen mode added. Improved controls. Improved directional pad controls. Improved directional pad designed to make it easier to see. Improved battle speed for auto battles increased by 1.5. Automatically continue with auto battle specified for the next battle. Additional features. Available save spots increase 20 slots. Small bugs have been fixed. And so on and so on. So, yeah. Small general
Once
fixes.
again, basic
should have been
stuff
there.
that should have been done before 4 years had passed.
Yeah, exactly.
This is why when they release this, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with my emulated version of Chrono Trigger because I have no incentive to want to pay, like, why pay tons of money for this?
Yeah.
Like, what incentive do I have? I'll tell you what you do. If you want people to buy a Chrono Trigger remaster, a remaster of Tales of Phantasia, what you do is you give people two translations. You let people use like a more basic translation and then like a new retranslated, a relocalized version. And you give people the option to play like the censored version of the game or the uncensored version of the game. You do stuff like that. You give people different filters. Like, hey, you can play Chrono Trigger Classic, or you can play the one that came out on the DS that had all the new content. The choice is yours. That's what you do, because you show people, hey, we know you love this game, but not everyone might like the old version, or people might love the new one with the new content, not like the old version. The choice is yours. We give you the option to choose. Nah, not Square Enix.
Nope.
No.
We do everything bass backwards. This is how we work.
Yep. And the more backwards it is, the better it is. How can we mess up this re-release? Watch us. Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Let me mess this up. Okay.
Oh man. All right. Anything else you'd like to rant about before we move on to our next topic? No.
No, I got nothing. I got nothing left.
Yeah. So this is kind of a funny story. You can buy runes in Elden Ring through eBay, but just use a trainer. If you're playing on PC and you're struggling keeping your runes, just use a trainer.
Yeah.
That's so weird. That's so weird. One of the weirdest stories one of the weirder but smaller stories I came across.
If you're playing it on console, I mean, that's you. You don't want to play it. You don't want to buy it on console. That's you. That's your fault.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's funny. But for last topic of the night, PlayStation State of Play happened last week, right? Thursday?
Yeah.
Or was it the week before? Yeah, it happened last week. I thought Valkyria Chronicles Elysium or whatever that game. I thought that game looked interesting, but I thought it looked a little rough. Let's see, their Fire Emblem game. I don't know what it's called. It just reminded me.
I mean,
of Fire Emblem.
it's basically Square Enix's Fire Emblem game. That's all it really is.
That looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, people were disappointed because they were hoping it was Final Fantasy Tactics, but
Come on. The guy who made that game left Square Enix. You're not going to get a Final Fantasy Tactics. Stop. Just stop.
let's see what else. They had a Jojo Bazaar's adventure fighting game, which I've never been a fan of. I'm not a huge fan of the Jojo Bazaar's adventure art style. It just doesn't do it for me. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do it for me.
And that fighting game did not look didn't look good to me.
No, that was kind of
It looked basic.
Yeah, definitely wasn't being developed by Capcom or Arc Systems. That's for sure. But
yeah, I was like, y'all should have kept this in the. Y'all didn't have to show this.
Yeah.
Y'all should have kept that. Y'all should have kept that back.
It wasn't terrible like most State of Plays. Like they actually had some relatively decent content to show. A lot of
Japanese stuff.
A lot of Japanese stuff, which is interesting because it seemed like Japanese stuff has been lacking on the PlayStation. But
yeah.
I mean,
they must have had nothing else to show.
It was okay. It was nice. It was nice and short. They didn't drag it out for too long. I think it was like only 15 minutes. So it wasn't super long.
Yeah. And yet it made me happy to watch it because they did something I really wanted to see.
What's that?
They showed off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
And it's also going to have a physical version, and it has the games that I love, and it's coming out on everything, including the Switch, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox Series X, Xbox One. Like, there's no excuse for you people in my age group who grew up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the 1980s to not get your fix. Because they're selling you nostalgia, baby.
Yeah, it was it was nice. It was only 21 minutes. I think this is the one. Yeah. It was only 21 minutes. So yeah, a little over 21 minutes. So it wasn't they didn't drag it out, I think if they do more of these, it'll get better over time as they feel more
Yeah,
comfortable showing more and more stuff.
yeah. As long as they aren't doing the stuff they used to do, where they would have a PlayStation Direct and they were like trying to sell people on a PlayStation Direct, going to a movie theater to watch a PlayStation Direct in a movie theater. I'm like, are you insane?
Yeah, that was a little weird. I remember when they did that. They should have just. I mean, it should just treat it like a digital video press release.
Yeah,
Not get
just
too not get
do what
too
Sony
worked up
does all the
about it.
time and steal stuff from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Steal the direct format from Nintendo. You'll be much happier.
Yeah, I mean it's just essentially a newsletter of what's going on, what's coming out. You know, um, that dinosaur game or kaiju game that Capcom's making looks kind of interesting.
So, yeah,
I just don't.
I
I don't know
initially
if I'm a
wasn't into
fan.
it, but it's like, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm not a huge fan of the art style. I wish they would have used a more cartoony art style, but it looks like it could be fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if the gameplay loop works, then it could be good.
Yeah, yeah,
The key word is that the gameplay loop has to work.
yeah,
If the gameplay loop doesn't work, then everything else is gonna fall apart.
yeah.
You know, most people don't understand that. They're like, well,
Oh yeah, and Tokyo Wire. Wait, Ghost Tokyo Wire. What?
Ghostwire Tokyo.
The Ghost Wire Tokyo. Yeah. Again, looks like a mess, but it also looks like it could be fun. Looks like it could be a fun mess. So here's hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do well just because that lady who
I
that
felt bad
lady
for
who
I felt bad for that lady because they put her up on stage. She wasn't her English was not very good. I
but she
really
was
wish
so enthusiastic
she
that it
wasn't
sold the product.
yeah. I really wish they would have had a translator with her or something because
And then
she's got
Bethesda like got rid of her, and I was like, they're like, this game isn't to Bethesda standards. I'm like, have played your games. I know what Bethesda standards
Bethesda
look like, and as
standards.
long as it's not as bad as what you guys come up with, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
like
about to
Bethesda
say, what
standards. What are you
standard is
talking
there? Is
about?
Yeah, Bethesda and standards are oxymoron, like military intelligence. Um, Never mind. I could go further, but
Your
I won't.
your words, not mine.
It's an oxymoron. They don't go together.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, that Final Fantasy game looks bad.
What, Final Fantasy Origins?
Yeah, that game looks bad. The action looks,
Yeah,
at least to me,
it's a Dark Souls game.
the action looks fun, but like just the whole just grim dark, and the worlds look kind of bland too. The areas that you go through look pretty bland. It's just kind of like nah. I know you were
Livid.
absolutely livid about that game.
I was, but whenever a Square Enix desecrates their core franchise, I get angry because I grew up playing Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, I love the classic Final Fantasies, and to see them desecrate it by turning it into a Souls-like game, I'm like, come on, man. Why? No one was asking for this.
Forspoken looks fun, but it looks like it's probably gonna. I have a feeling it's gonna be full of some BS.
Well, the only thing that gives me pause about that game is that they aren't talking about gameplay mechanics. They keep on talking about how the main character is a person of color. Which I'm cool with. There needs to be more games that have people of color as the main characters. Because, I mean, I'm tired of playing games where the main character is generic white guy with a 5 o'clock shadow across his face.
Yeah.
Who talks like Nolan North. you
Yeah.
know. So I mean, I'm glad they're being more inclusive because I mean, just numerically speaking, there are more people of color in the world than there are just white people. But so that it's more reflective to have people of color in positions of you know uh, in a protagonist type position because there's more people of color than there are people who are just of the Caucasian persuasion. But the problem is that like they don't talk about anything else in the Forspoken. Like the hype about Forspoken hasn't been about the gameplay, the story, the combat. It's just the main character's a female person of color. She's black,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, that's I need a little bit more than that. I mean, I'm with you, but I need a little bit more than that. It's like
it's like a garnish instead of addition to the main stuff itself.
No, it's like if I was hiring someone and on their resume they didn't talk about what they were capable of. The only thing they said is, "Well, you should hire me because I'm black."
Yeah.
Like that's not. I need more than that.
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
Yeah.
Even and I'll take it out of color. It's like people who say you should hire someone because they're a veteran. Well, I mean, yes, I'm glad you volunteered to, go into the military, but that's not a valid reason to hire you because you were a veteran. Like I need someone who's qualified for this position. Whether or not, because you're a veteran does not necessarily automatically make you qualified for the position.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. So I hate saying that. I need to stop saying that because that sounds really stupid. But yeah, that.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, the PlayStation, the state of play was kind of like underwhelming. I mean, like, actually, no, it was better than other state of plays, but I mean, like, if you compared it, like, if I compared it to the worst of Microsoft or Nintendo's digital events, it was still underwhelming. But for Sony, like, if you just judge it against Sony's other state of plays, it was great.
Yeah.
Because Sony's state of plays are normally so terrible. It's like, oh, this is terrible.
Yeah. There's that Gundam game they showed too, which looks like garbage to me. It's free to play. It's not in the particular art style that I would picture a Gundam game to be. It's first person, which again, if I was creating a Gundam multiplayer game, it wouldn't be first person. So, I'm not with it. How do you guys feel about it?
The
Not as amusing to me.
The art style doesn't bother me because they're making a more grounded take on Gundam, and like I mean, even though Gundam is most of the time you see Gundam, it's like an anime, it's like anime or in the mangas. Like if you made Gundam more grounded, like these are people inside of like humanoid battle tanks, so that kind of makes sense that it would be like that. My problem is that it's free to play, which means it's going to be monetized out the wazoo, which means it's going to have lots of microtransactions and not be fun. So, and I can see it right now. Hey, you want to get the Burning Gundam? That's going to cost you $20. Hey, you want to get Amaru Ray's MK3? Oh, but that's going to be
That's going to be some good price ship.
That's going to be part of the $50 season pass. Oh, you want Char's Red Comet? Well, you got to hope. You got to either play a lot of matches and get enough MacGuffins to put in our gacha machine in order to get that, or you can spend $30 and get Char's Red Comet right now.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
As soon as they say free to play, I'm like, okay, yeah, I already know this is not going to be something I want to play.
Yeah.
Because that's what free to play means these days. Free to play means overly monetized, binge over and take advantage of you from behind gaming. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sadly. Oh well.
Let's see. Yeah. What else did they show at the state of play? Oh yeah, they saw that samurai game, black and white
That looked
game.
cool.
Yeah, that looked pretty cool.
Yeah, that looked cool.
Yeah.
It's like, man, it's like I'm playing a samurai epic.
Yeah.
Except I get to murder the ever-loving daylights out of people. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's probably gonna have a sad ending. Because I guess
Might.
what?
I mean, Yojimbo didn't have a sad ending.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you count a guy who was talking total smack to his mother in the beginning of the film, getting so scared that he pees himself and runs home back to his mom. But hey, at least he wasn't horrifically murdered by the wandering samurai who wandered into town at the end of Yojimbo. So, that's a good ending. He didn't die.
Yeah.
But,
Was there any other? Was there any other standouts at the state of play?
Let's see. I already said TMNT Cowabunga Collection. Let's see. Let me look it up real quick. Sony State of Play minutes. Exo Primal looked cool. Ghostwire Tokyo looked cool. Final Fantasy Origin, meh.
Yeah, that game looks. Yeah.
Forspoken, I'm interested in, but they just keep on talking about the protagonist being a female of color. And I'm like, show off the game world. Because we know you can look at her and tell she's a person of color.
Yeah.
Gundam Evolution actually did look kind of interesting to me until I found out that it's a free-to-play game, which means it's going to be, microtransactions out the wazoo. Kaiju Brawler Giga Bash looked cool. Looks like a new King of the Monsters, but, with non-licensed monsters. If this comes on PC, people are going to friggin' splice in Godzilla. As they should. We haven't had a good Godzilla Brawler game in years.
Ooh.
Jojo's Bizarre Adventure fighting game just looks just basic. Black and White Samurai Adventure Trek to Yomi looked cool. Returnal Ascension. I don't get why you would have on a digital event that you're telling, it's a free update. Okay. So they're adding 2-player campaign co-op to the game. Okay, so that's why they put it. Strategy RPG Dealfield Chronicle, or as I like to call it, Square Enix's take on Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna try Fire Emblem. Hey, it might turn out good. Probably not because it's Square Enix, but it might turn out good. It looks interesting. And Valkyrie Elysium, I was kind of excited for until I found out it's an action game and not an RPG, and I was like, I'm not interested. Like, everyone keeps on dumbing down their IPs to appeal to a wider audience.
Yeah. What was the fighting system like in Valkyrie Chronicles anyway?
It was a turn-based combat RPG, except the cool thing in Valkyrie Chronicles was that, like, you essentially recruited the spirits, because your main character didn't actually fight. She was a Valkyrie. She recruited dead people who fought for you.
Yeah.
And, like, each character was assigned to a different button, and you could basically press a different button, and they would jump into the attack. It was actually I played like maybe a short period of it, but the people who I know who played Valkyrie Chronicles really liked it. So, and I trust their opinion on it. Even though I'm not really all that into it, but just because you don't like something doesn't mean you can't trust other people's opinions on it.
Yeah.
So, but once again, Square Enix dumbing down an IP to appeal to a wider audience. And it's a niche game. Most people don't know Valkyrie Chronicles anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they just, I don't know, are just trying to dip into
Roll
some of
with
their
it.
old IPs. Yeah, I don't know.
Alufia. Dude. Actually, they bought Lufia. Why don't they dip into Ogre Battle and do a new Ogre Battle?
No idea.
Always dip into stuff no one cares about. Except for the ultra niche fans of Valkyrie Chronicles, I guess. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. There might be people who like that game.
There's a number, but I think that's a little hard to find.
Saying it can't happen. I'm just saying that I'm not exactly holding out hope that it will happen, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
So is there any other topics you guys like to bring up before we close out the show?
No, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I think I'll do it for you guys. Thank you for joining us at Project Console. We'll be back here next week at 7:30 p.m. Or, if you're with Red Fox, join us at the BS Busters at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah, and Kenoshi, Mr. Red Fox, you want to go off your sign off?
Yeah, this was Red Fox under proprietor BS Busters. BS Busters has a podcast every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining, and you can reach me at Gmail, Twitter, and Discord, which I do not have a link because this is not my video. But if you go to my channel, you can go to any of the description on any of the videos and look in there, and you'll find a link to be on one of my videos. That's it.
And this is Kenoshi Abominito, episode 23. I'm feeling lucky. And the can. We will see you guys next week. Have a good week, have a good weekend, have a good life.